It's been almost 7 years since the release of Red Dead Redemption 2, and I still find myself thinking about this game even after all this time. This game has affected me in ways no other form of entertainment ever has. It's hard for me to properly convey the experience I had when I played the game for the first time back in May of 2020. No other game has come close to this game for me. Now I could go on for hours on everything I love about the game, but instead of making a 4-hour long video on that, I decided to focus on the most important part of the game, and that is of course Arthur Morgan. He is by far the greatest video game character I've ever seen. So in this video, I want to talk about why I think Arthur Morgan is the greatest video game character.
You saved my life. You're a good man, and...
But I'm not a good man, Jimmy Brooks. Not usually. You see, I was in Blackwater. I killed people. And maybe I should have killed you. Should I have killed you, Jimmy Brooks?
Introductions for characters are obviously very important. We need to understand who we're going to be playing as for the next 40 plus hours. You see almost immediately that Arthur is a stone cold badass. He's about the kind of guy you would expect to see from the 1800s. He's kind of a dick, but also has this selflessness to his personality that allows him to be a good person and approachable despite all of his horrible actions. Now we need to ask what makes a great character. Apart from a great performance, like the award-winning performance from Roger Clark, I'd argue that depth and a distinct personality, and someone who is believable and relatable, go through some evolutionary change throughout the story, whether they change for the better or for the worse. Arthur has all of these traits. In the beginning, he is a loyal friend to the gang, but to most people outside of the gang, he is a terrifying adversary. You would not want to be on his bad side. He was Dutch's most trusted associate and his go-to person for intimidation and brute strength. He's not exactly a good person. He's a bad person that does very bad things. He didn't care about what he did or who he killed. He beat Thomas Downs to death, who just owed money.
You borrowed money from my business partner, Herr Strauss. You owe him, you took the money. He wants it back, what's not to understand? Where's our money?
I don't have it.
Sell your place.
We already owe more than it's worth.
Then sell your wife, or your family, or something. We ain't your idea of charity. Is that clear?
Thomas!
What are you looking at?
Thomas!
I said what you looking at, woman.
My husband isn't well. If we could just have more...
Like I said, we ain't nobody's idea of charity. Get us the money.
And after beating him almost to death, he even told him to sell his wife and threatened his family. This was probably the worst thing we ever saw Arthur actually do, and eventually he paid the price for it. After Thomas's death, he once again returns and threatens his son.
Your husband knew the rules when he took that money. Now, I'm real sorry about the way things turned out, but he had a choice. Ain't my fault about the way the world is.
He didn't have a choice. He was good and he did good. There wasn't no choice in that. And you've as good as killed him yourself, and don't kid yourself. You had a choice.
You speak as if killing was something I cared about.
You ever wonder about eternity? You should.
I hope it's hot and terrible, Mrs. Downs. Otherwise, I'll feel I've been sold a false bill of goods. Now, please, give me that money. Either you got a lazy eye or lack of respect. Which is it, boy?
I ain't got no lazy eye. No respect for the likes of you.
Well, maybe when your mother's finished mourning your father, I'll keep her in black, on your behalf. You think on that, boy?
Well, maybe you shall, sir. And maybe other events will transpire.
Now he was absolutely in the wrong here, but I do love that line. Now he knows what he did wasn't right, but he still thinks it's all justified. He thinks it will protect his gang. The women and children are relying on him to keep them fed and safe. It would show what lengths he would go to in order for him to provide for his family, which is what they were, his family. And because of these reasons, he was never an unlikable character, despite his actions. You may not agree with what he does, and he is objectively a horrible person, but you can also see where he's coming from, why he does the things he does. Micah is the complete opposite of Arthur. Micah is an evil, disgusting, perverted person who will kill anyone who even slightly looks at him in the wrong way, even enjoying it. He does these horrible actions when they were not at all necessary, like killing everyone in Strawberry, all because he wanted his revolvers back. Arthur only did things he deemed necessary. Now it might seem like I'm trying to excuse his actions, I'm not, but at the same time you can understand why he thinks all of this is necessary. In the interaction after he threatens Thomas Downs' son, he convinces him to back down with no further violence.
You best stick to them books, because mark my words on this. Vengeance is an idiot's game. Ah, Mrs. Downs, thank you for your punctuality. It's next to godliness, isn't it?
That's cleanliness.
I'll have to take your word on that. Good day.
It showed us that Arthur is capable of doing bad things, but he's also able to do these bad things while not necessarily being an evil character, more like an anti-hero. Dutch and Arthur's relationship is by far the most interesting relationship in the entire game, which I will eventually be making a video on those two. Dutch was his mentor and also his father figure for 20 years of his life. He joined the gang at just 14 years old, and ever since then, he has stayed loyal. The values of trust and loyalty have been instilled in Arthur since he was a child, and it's something that Dutch preaches on a regular basis. They were instilled so heavily that he would die for those values. As the story unfolds and the Pinkertons start closing in on the gang, the cracks in Dutch's philosophy start to show. He no longer puts his family first, he puts himself first no matter what the cost is. So we finally start to see his true colors.
So how did you know she was gonna betray us? What'd she say?
It was in her eyes, in the way she was leading us.
But you said you knew Spanish.
I know human beings, Arthur.
Are you gonna strangle me next?
I'm doing the best I can.
Despite everything Dutch has done, his descent into madness that put the entire gang at risk, Arthur never turned his back on him no matter how much we wanted him to. This has been his father for 20 years, everything he has done has been for his family, and he's just trying to survive. If Dutch turned out to be this truly evil person, then what would that make him? All the horrible things that he's done, it makes sense why it would be so difficult for Arthur to turn his back on him. This was a very challenging thing for Arthur to confront.
What's wrong? I mean, what appear to be the symptoms?
Well, I think you've heard them. I'm coughing.
Is there any blood?
Sometimes.
Okay, now here. Breathe. Again. Yeah. Let me see your tongue. Now say ah.
Ah. What is it?
It's not good news.
Well, I guess that.
You got tuberculosis. I'm really sorry for you, son. It's a hell of a thing.
What you mean?
You're real sick. It's a progressive disease, and you'll be... Well, the best thing is rest, and getting somewhere warm and dry, and taking it easy. Now, is that possible?
Sure, I can just take my winters in my country club in California. No, it's not possible.
Well, like I said, I'm real sorry.
Yeah, well.
Fate finally caught up to him. He was diagnosed with tuberculosis from beating Thomas Downs to death. This destroyed him. He was never afraid of death before this, as he never had to think about it. But now every single cough was a reminder that his time was coming to an end. It was now impossible for him to avoid. This forces his perspective on everything, life, his values, and his family almost immediately change. It's like he finally opened his eyes, finally realizing what is truly important to him. He starts to really struggle with what he's done in his past and his present, but with the time he has left, he decides that he needs to help who he can. He still stays with the gang, hoping that maybe there's a small chance that the gang could go back to who they were before the Blackwater Massacre. He's now this more charitable man, and doesn't seem like this heartless bad man. In the final debt missions, instead of taking the money, he instead absolves the debt, apologizing to them, even giving them money in return. He donates to charities, even going as far as helping the Downs family get back on their feet, protecting Archie Downs from the other workers at the mine, and saving his mother. With Arthur's help, they were now able to start a new life somewhere else with the money he gave them.
Go live someplace else. Start over. Here, take this. I don't need it no more.
I don't want your money.
Yeah, I know you don't want it.
I don't.
You sure as shit need it. Take it.
No.
I ain't looking for forgiveness. It ain't about that. Don't forgive me. Just take the money and get out of here. Please. I know I ruined your life. I suffer for it every day. But don't let yourself get killed for pride. I seen it kill too many folk. Don't say anything. Don't thank me. Just take the money and pack your bags. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan.
I said don't thank me. Get out of here. Please.
He wasn't looking for forgiveness, he didn't want to thank you, he knows he couldn't possibly make things right. but he did it anyway. He did it because it was the right thing to do. This was very important for us as a player to witness this scene. It was one of the bad deeds we actually saw him do and later on correct it. Now the only reason he's even started to do this was because of his newfound clarity after learning that he only has around 6 months left to live. So even with all these good deeds that he's doing, he knows it can't possibly make up for all the horrible things he's done. If he even could make up for all those bad things. And if you could, it would take much more than 6 months. Maybe even more than a lifetime. He's robbed, assaulted, and killed countless people. But he eventually comes to terms with the fact that he can't atone for his sins, but instead still spend what time he has left helping as many people as possible. He truly believes that he's a bad man, and no matter how many things he does, he can never truly change, and will disagree with anyone who says otherwise. This isn't something he explicitly says, but we as a player have gotten to know him so well that we just kinda know what's going on in his head at this point. This is some of Rockstar Games' best writing. We're able to figure out things through the way characters are written, even if they don't exactly explain it. I often found myself almost begging Arthur to just talk to someone. He opens up a little bit sometimes during some camp interactions, and if he fully opened up, it would help him much more than he could have possibly imagined. He eventually finds Sister Cauldron at the Emerald Ranch train station as she is getting ready to leave. This is when he finally decides to open up.
I'm dying, sister.
Okay?
Yeah, I got TB. I got it. Beating a man to death for a few bucks. I've lived a bad life, sister.
We've all lived bad lives, Mr. Morgan. We all sin. But I know you.
You don't know me.
Forgive me, but that's the problem. You don't know you.
What do you mean?
I don't know, but whenever we happen to meet, you're always helping people and smiling.
I had a son. He passed away. I had a girl who loved me. I threw that away. My mama died when I was a kid. And my daddy, well, I watched him die. And it weren't soon enough.
My husband died a long time ago. Life is full of pain. But there is also love and beauty.
What am I gonna do now?
Be grateful that for the first time, you see your life clearly.
Sure.
Perhaps you could help somebody. Helping makes you really happy.
But I still don't believe in nothing.
Often, neither do I.
Huh?
But then I meet someone like you, and everything makes sense.
You're too smart for me, sister. I guess I'm afraid.
There is nothing to be afraid of, Mr. Morgan. Take a gamble that love exists and do a loving act.
All aboard! I shall try.
I know you will.
This cutscene is by far my favorite cutscene in the entire game. It was so satisfying to see him finally open up after all this time. Take a gamble that love exists and do a loving act. Her response was exactly what Arthur needed to hear. He spent all this time hating himself for his actions and how he could possibly make up for it in just a few months. It's just not possible. So instead of trying to make up for what he's done, he needs to just do the right thing from here on out. All the time Sister Cauldron has spent around Arthur, she has only ever seen him do good things. That doesn't make him a good person, but all she has seen is a good person. No matter how far gone he was, he could still do the right thing. It was never too late for him to be a better person. From now on, doing good deeds isn't about redemption, it's about doing them because they are right. In the last debt collection mission, you can see just how much regret Arthur is feeling.
I just wanted to say the debt's canceled and here, take this. It won't bring your husband back, I know. You need money and I don't.
Well, you're a good man. I just wish you'd done it before he worked himself into the grave. But you know, maybe you and your friend that lent him the money could do things differently. Like not threaten a man. Excuse me.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I really am.
The game doesn't even allow you to take the money. He feels incredibly sorry for what he's done and knows he can't do anything to bring her husband back, but at least he can apologize and help her out as much as he can. Towards the end of chapter 6, Arthur finally comes to terms with the fact that the gang is over. He needs to get everyone he still cares about out before things get even worse. Arthur sees John as someone who could escape this outlaw life and live a good life with his wife and son. He makes it his most important mission that when the gang finally falls apart, he will get them out of here, believing that John's family was the one good thing that could come out of this mess. He even stood up to Dutch, insisting that he let John and his family leave before the Pinkertons show up.
And John and his family, I'm afraid I have to insist. I mean, we gotta let them go, because if the Pinkertons come through again, they will kill everyone.
John? Insist?
Yeah. Insist.
The last two missions of chapter 6 are absolutely heartbreaking. Dutch and Micah destroyed everything the gang originally stood for. He returns to camp after uncovering the truth that Micah sold out the gang to the Pinkertons. In this moment, I think Arthur still had a little bit of hope that Dutch hasn't truly lost it. Even after everything Dutch did, all the innocent people he's killed or gotten killed due to his reckless actions, leaving John and Abigail to die, or even when he left Arthur to die. Even after all of that, he never turned his back on Dutch. He never even pointed his gun at him, not the man he once called his father. That is loyalty. These last two missions finishes Arthur's story in the most beautifully heartbreaking way. That final conversation with Sadie and Abigail, the music, and the compilations of different conversations that he's had throughout the game, it forces Arthur and us to reflect on his journey, how he got to this point. Now, I'm pretty good at holding myself together when it comes to emotional scenes, but I just couldn't hold it in. I was very upset playing this, as I'm sure most of us were, and was even more upset at the end of the mission. As long as you choose the only correct and canon ending, I don't really care if Rockstar themselves say the Lowrunner ending is canon, they're just wrong. Arthur still doesn't show much emotion, but he still says his goodbye in a way that is perfect, and John is able to perfectly understand how much he means to Arthur. He stayed behind knowing he would never make it off that mountain alive, to hold off Micah and the Pinkertons as long as he could, but at least he knew John would make it.
I gave you all I had. I did.
This destroyed me. Getting shot in the leg would have been less painful than this. Even after all this time, I still haven't gotten over his death. He was able to die on his own terms watching the beautiful sunrise. That final breath was heartbreaking. Take a gamble that love exists and do a loving act. I believe he did that, and I do believe he had his redemption. As much as he could, at least. Arthur is such a complex and beautifully written character, and my second favorite character of all time, just behind Rick Grimes. Now I could go on for several more hours about this game, but I just want this video to be just about why I think Arthur Morgan is the greatest character in video games. If anyone would like to see more videos of me talking about Red Dead Redemption 2 or any other games, please let me know down below, and with that being said, thank you all for watching.